Hello, Ben. Big fan. After I ask my question, can I get a handshake?
Yeah, sure.
All right, awesome. So just context, I've been actively promoting this event and inviting people to debate you in the Q&A, and many people thought that even if they were right, you would still win the debate due to your position of authority and argumentative wit. And so I'm here today to try
they're right, I'll win, but yeah.
So I'm here to try my best to stump you and maybe show the naysayers it's possible, but I doubt it, like you said.
If you ask me to do long division in my head.
So you state in an article titled, quote, "Why Atheism is Morally Bankrupt," that, quote, "Without God, there is no capacity for free will." And you repeat the sentiment multiple times.
Yes.
You consistently claim to be able to pose secular arguments to support any of your claims, but it seems that your belief in free will is entirely rooted in religious argument, and you seem to indicate that if you had to take a secular view on the topic of free will, you would be forced to take a determinist position. Considering that the free will topic is at the core of the justice system, it seems to me that your arguments in favor of retributive justice are solely supported by religious arguments. Can you pose a secular argument in favor of free will?
Sure. I mean, I think that most atheists believe in free will and disagree with my central premise. So if I want to play atheist, I would say that there is a secular argument in favor of free will. As a religious person, I don't think it's a particularly compelling one. So in other words, the point that I'm making here is that you're right, free will is at the center of the criminal justice system. Yeah. I believe that the argument in favor of free will has to rest on supernatural premises, because otherwise what you're basically saying is that human beings are a combination of their genetics and their environment, and if we just had a giant machine and we could pour all that information into a machine, then I could predict with perfect certainty what you were going to say next. Right? As it is, my machine's great. I can mostly predict what you're going to say next. But if I had all that information, then I could perfectly predict that, and then you wouldn't have any personal responsibility. And I haven't heard a great argument from atheists about why that's the case. Now, I say that it's a supernatural force. You can believe it's not a supernatural force, but I think that you can say from a secular point of view that you can believe free will exists without God existing. I don't think it's a compelling argument, but I think you can do that. And I've argued with secular people without mentioning God in the free will argument all the time. I mean, if you're an atheist, are you an atheist?
Yes.
Okay, so you're an atheist. Do you believe free will exists?
No.
You don't believe free will exists. So you tell me, how does the criminal justice system function?
Yeah, so I would recommend a quarantine theory where you basically view someone as an actor, and so in an example, let's say someone is violent with someone else, you would say, okay, well, as a determinist, I'd say when you make a decision, you could not have chosen otherwise. So I'd view this actor and I'd say, well, you couldn't have chosen otherwise, so I don't hold you morally culpable, but it still tells me a lot about how you're liable to act in the future, and so we're going to treat you as a public health hazard and quarantine.
But that's not true. I mean, the problem with that argument is it's not true. If I kill my wife, right, which I'm not going to, I like her. Yeah. If I kill my wife, the chances that I'm going to kill another human being are actually extraordinarily low. Right? There's no, like, people kill people they tend to know. The chances that I'm going to kill a bunch of other people are really, really low. The idea that I'm going to become a serial killer is not really true. Plus, I mean, you're actually creating a sort of Millennium Report problem, right? You actually have, what if you just say, you're now doing pre-crime. You're saying you're more likely to commit crime in the future, so we're going to put you in quarantine. The retributive theory of justice is basically this. You deserve to go to prison, and not only do you deserve to go to prison, if we didn't put you in prison, then what you'd end up with is people coming after you to commit revenge on you, and then you'd have a cycle of violence that would actually lead to terrible things. So if you want to argue against free will on the basis that, like I'm thinking about it on the spot, it's a really interesting question. Yeah. I suppose I would say this. I suppose that I would say that I believe that in the end, Western civilization is based on a foundation of Judeo-Christian morality that is religious in nature, but I can't just say God. Like when people ask me a question, I can't just say God if I want to have the argument. Maybe at the root, if you say free will, when you get down to the root argument of a couple of these major things, then I will have to say God. Okay. But I think that the vast majority of political argument, it's important not to just cite to the Bible or to a deity.
All right. Thank you. You got a handshake?
Yeah.